Bullying, which refers to physical and psychological harassment, has long troubled schools in Japan. The problem of bullying is so notorious that it has become a recurring theme in Japanese pop culture, appearing in anime and manga such as Elfen Lied, Boys Over Flowers, and so on. This isn't surprising considering the prevalence of bullying. By 2012, a survey conducted by the Ministry of Education of Japan found that there were 198,108 cases of bullying, and that more than half of the schools across the country had cases of bullying. In Japan, any student and any teacher, regardless of their personal history, can become bullies. The problem stems from the homeroom-style structure of Japanese classes, which means that the same students are present in class each day. This leads to students establishing social rules on their own regarding how each student should act, and those who do not follow the rules are punished. Therefore, most cases of bullying are usually collective, meaning that there is only one victim whom the rest of the class bullies.
I don't really know much about Japan or anything when it comes to bullying. I'm assuming it's similar to that of America, but from what I've known, that usually the otaku culture is usually looked frowned upon, even though the word itself actually meaning one who has an obsession over something. It can be anything. It could be trains, it can be cars, but for the most part, people usually associate it with anime, manga, etc.
Either negligent parents that don't care about how they act, or parents that actually bully their kids.
I think some of the teachers tell like the principal and stuff, but some of the teachers don't, and they hide it, and they say, oh, the person that's getting bullied is doing something wrong, instead of the bullier.
Rather than a whole school or district-wide program, teachers need to focus on trying to catch it in their own classes. So like decentralize the controlling, you know.
Hikikomori culture exists as an issue in Japan, where one withdraws from society. One can understand hikikomori as people who have given up on social interaction. This lack of interaction, in turn, leads to hikikomori quitting their jobs and abstaining from job finding. Without work, hikikomori greatly depend on others, most of the time their parents, to survive. So, why do people become hikikomori? Immense societal pressure exists as one major reason for why hikikomori culture has erupted in Japan. In Japan, there exists a well-established formula for society to abide by. It goes as follows. People should do well in junior high to advance into a good high school. From there, they must do well in high school to get into a good college. From college, they should do well to get into a good company in a high-paying position. Japanese society has put so much pressure on closely following this plan that inability to reach and keep up with this has become frowned upon. Therefore, when people start failing midway through, they decide to drop out altogether and become hikikomori without a sense of a second chance.
I feel like they should encourage them to go back and actually get a job or go to school for those who dropped out and stuff like that. It makes complete sense. I think they should put commercials for them watching video on the computer or ads, because it would make more sense for them to be like, oh yeah, you guys should go to school and do this and that. So yeah.
Okay.
They should at least go out and try, and the government should definitely put more benefits out for them so they can have a better chance.
But if there wasn't so much pressure in the first place, if they didn't, because you showed us that, you have to go to a good school, you have to do these steps, and if you don't, you pretty much fail. And if they didn't feel like they failed because they didn't make it, then that would probably be easier on them to try and do something. Here, if you fail at something, we're taught to, try again, not just give up, to keep trying and find something you're good at. But it sounds like there, it's like once you fail at school, then you're pretty much, that's it, you're done, and there's nothing else for you after that.
Don't really lose hope. It's not really that fulfilling in life to just kind of lock yourself in your room, and then it gets better.
Japan has one of the highest suicide rates of industrialized countries. Totaling in about 30,000 per year, little is known, but a lot is speculated. Seeing this most prevalent through middle-aged males, Many theorists have come to the conclusion that it's some sort of midlife crisis taking form of something bigger, suicide. Others, however, have speculated that the incredibly high suicide rate to be related to the culture of Japan. That is, these theories have reason to believe it's because of institutions that have been popularized throughout history, whether it be seppuku, kamikaze attacks, suicide forests. The art of killing oneself isn't completely foreign to the hypothetical Japanese mind. When looking at these suicide rates and reasons for them, one must keep in mind these things in mind to avoid the stigma that's assumed from a Western standpoint. With that said, it is important for us, Japanese popular culture fans, to take a step back and also look more into Japan other than its manga, anime, or even cute culture. And there's definitely more to Japan than the foreign media may portray. Japan is a nation with a long history of isolationist views up until the opening of their ports by American Commodore Perry. Shortly after the Russo-Japanese War and joining the West in imperialism, Japan was bombed, and to this point expresses what one might call a victim's history and uses popular media as its medium. As people who buy into these mediums, we should understand their purposes and reasons. There's much we don't know or clearly understand about Japanese culture, and we can start by assessing previously stated factors as well as suicide as an epidemic.
I guess as my character, he would probably assume that it's kind of just them giving up. Maybe they think of it as like a sacred way of getting out, but I don't think that my character would find it as a way. He'd probably think of them as maybe weak.
It really is quite terrible because you are in the middle of your life and it should be the best times.
I think men, same with the pressure thing, men in general like always have like a standard of how they should act and how they should be. A woman can dress in man's clothing and it'll be okay, socially accepted. But if you were to put a man in women's clothing being cross-dressing, that's frowned upon. So I think a lot of times like they're just as a gender whole just have more stricter things.
Unfortunately, it's one of those issues that has multiple sources of stress. I think the parents are going to be pressuring on them and the whole business structure there.